So we got the release of the very first trailer for Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, which is too long a title, but it's kind of great. Look, that's neither here nor there, because what we're talking about today is breaking down this trailer, the Easter eggs, the references. I'm talking about things relating to the lineup of characters. What's the deal with that hyena? Where's Batman? The various villains, locations, story beats, explosions, cars, fun, comic references, breaking a man's legs backwards, not all of those things, and also other things. As always, potential spoilers for this movie that I have not seen. And look, if you could leave a like on this video, that would super help me out. I'd love it so much. Because, you know, I'm not about begging. Here I am. I'm doing it. Okay, to get a general idea of what this movie is going to be about, here's a bit of the synopsis. So it's after the events of Suicide Squad, a movie that everybody enjoyed the trailers for much more than the movie itself. Harley Quinn has left the Joker, which we'll come back to in a bit. Batman has disappeared, which we'll also come back to, leaving Gotham unprotected from crime. So when a young girl named Cassandra Cain comes across a diamond belonging to a crime lord who is Black Mask, Harley joins forces with Black Canary Huntress and Renee Montoya to protect her. Right, so it's a colourful cast of characters. It's an all-female led comic book movie. Kind of like The Kitchen. Great cast. Apparently it's bad, I didn't see it. Okay, first up we got Harley Quinn. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this character at this point. A lot of people did not like Suicide Squad. However, Margot Robbie's portrayal, people seem to really like it. So I was mentioning in that synopsis, she's back here after a breakup with the Joker. You see at the start cutting her hair, throwing a knife at a picture of him. She's still wearing a J on a necklace there. Whether or not the Joker will appear, yes, it would seem, sort of. There were some images taken of their breakup. This isn't actually Jared Leto. It's a stand-in. I'm not sure he'd be super keen to return to this role, seeing as he was mostly cut out of Suicide Squad. That being said, he's also hinted that, yeah, maybe, you never know. So, you know, we'll see. I'm personally indifferent to whether he shows up. Next up, we've got Huntress. One of the shots in a church, that's of her. The character in the comics is a devout Catholic. She is a vigilante assassin who favors a crossbow and a motorcycle. There's a moment where she attempts a mob hit in this trailer. I really like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and I think she's a really great fit for this role. Next up, we've got Black Canary. Now, this is sort of hinted at in this trailer, but her voice is somewhat of a weapon. She can scream so loud that she'd tear the skin off a person. There's a slight hint towards that, because when she's singing in the club, you see this martini glass shaken just a little bit. What I think is interesting about the inclusion of Black Canary is, if she is superpowered, she might be the only superpowered character in this movie, or at the very least on the Birds of Prey team. See, all of these people, they've got like street level abilities. Punching, kicking, shooting things and explosions and such. So a woman with a supersonic scream might be a bit of a break from the norm. But then again, in the Arrowverse, the Black Canary character from that started at the very least with a voice modulator, which gave her her abilities. So maybe they're doing that. Or maybe that martini glass is just shaking because of the poor acoustics in the room. Or a Tyrannosaurus Rex is approaching. Or somebody walked past and bumped the table. It's a mystery. It's a movie mystery. Next up, we have Renee Montoya, a member of the Gotham police force from the comics. It appears here she's been fired. On the way out, people are clapping. Maybe she punched her boss, or whatever. I wonder if she works for Commissioner Gordon in this. I wonder who even is Commissioner Gordon now. J.K. Simmons is out. Jeffrey Wright is rumored to be in this universe, though that might solely be for the Batman. It remains to be seen. Renee Montoya is one of those characters who's not actually a bird of prey in the comics. She has helped them out before. I believe she's teamed up with Huntress, and probably others. Who's to say? There's so many comics. And this probably won't come up, but she did go on to become the Question in the comics. Remember, that's something that this character can do down the line. Because this movie, it is acting as an origin of sorts for a lot of these characters that use Harley Quinn as a way to introduce them. It's obviously very intentional that Harley Quinn is in the name of this movie, because if it was just Birds of Prey, people might not necessarily know what this is at first glance. Also, we have Cassandra Cain, who of course crosses paths with Black Mask. Cassandra Cain is an interesting one from the comics. She's an Asian character who was created in the late 90s and actually becomes a version of Batgirl at one point. I'm not sure about this particular version, but Cassandra Cain was a mute child, and that was actually done on purpose by her parents. You see, she's the daughter of David Cain and Lady Shiva, and they also wanted her to become this incredible assassin fighter person, so they focused strictly on her physical abilities. But I think, why not both? Like that meme says, you know, the meme that says, why not both? Memes are good for videos because people go, oh, I know that meme when they see it and everybody relates. Like it's good engagement for the viewer. I am though hoping that the action in this, because it seems to be more ground level punching, kicking, explosions and such, that it's a step up from Suicide Squad. I'm actually one of the people who don't mind Suicide Squad. It's not great. I think it's fine. So if they're going to do this kind of fisticuff fighting, then a bit more flair would be appreciated, as opposed to Suicide Squad, which is just, you know, people bashing each other's heads in with baseball bats and whatever. whatever. And the big kind of Will Smith Deadshot action sequence is him standing on top of a car and just riddling people with bullets. He did like one trick shot in the entire movie. You're Deadshot. You're supposed to be doing all sorts of tricky dead shots. And with the villains this time around, we're getting someone we haven't seen before in a live action movie. That being Black Mask. Though he is minus the black mask, the skull mask in this first trailer, and of course played by Ewan McGregor. Though there is hints towards the character that he will become. At one point he's in the white suit with the black gloves, with the Sionis logo on the back of the hands. Also there's a moment where he's kind of freaking out, and you see an image of a black mask behind him. This scene where Harley Quinn is singing, everybody behind her is in a black mask. I'd be very surprised if he does not put on the black mask in this movie. Speaking of villains though, we also get Victor Zsasz. This is someone who's shown up a number of times across multiple mediums. He's in Gotham for one, he's in the Arkham video games, and this appears to be a bit of an early days Victor Zsasz. Because what this guy does every time he murders somebody, he marks his body with a scar, and you can see that on this character. When I first noticed the scars, I was like, oh my god, it's Victor Zsasz! I've figured this out before anybody! But then it turns out they announced this character like months ago, and I figured nothing out. That's alright, because maybe I've figured this out. You see in this Huntress training moment, there's a scarecrow behind her. Maybe that's a nod to the Scarecrow. Probably isn't, but there is a Scarecrow there, and there's also a Batman villain called the Scarecrow, so you know that's putting two and two together. I've figured something out. Look at me go. Now you might be wondering, why is there a hyena in this trailer? That's a very good question. But what that goes back to is Harley Quinn from the animated series, where she has two hyenas as pets, Bud and Lou. It appears as if though we're only getting one hyena in this movie. Maybe there are two different ones, but if that is the case, they're never on screen at the same time. I was also looking into this because I had no idea that hyenas could be trained. But it turns out that maybe they can. So my thinking is this is probably a real hyena and not CGI. And the only reason I say that also is because for a DC film, this has a relatively smaller budget of $75 million. I know, that sounds ridiculous. But yeah, I think that's the direction they're going with a lot of these movies. It's the same with Joker. That costs like $55 million or something like that. So I think after the budget blowout of Batman v Superman, but you know, more likely Justice League, which cost something like $200 million. And everybody loved it, had a good time with it, and it made a lot of money. Not true. If you actually know whether this hyena is CGI or not, I'd genuinely love to know. I don't think it is. At the very least, it's probably some kind of blend. But still, it's very interesting to me to know either way. Big thank you also to Matt for pointing this out. Matt, who's editing this video. But he pointed out that this dance sequence is a nod to Marilyn Monroe's Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. So thanks, Matt. I would never have found this because I have 100% never seen that movie. Also, I just want to point out that this seems like it could very much be a hallucination. There's a frame where you see Harley Quinn has like a sleep dart in her neck, so it might be the aftermath of that. Remains to be seen. As far as locations go, there's a few interesting ones of note. First off, I just want to say this was all filmed in LA. You know, normally they do something like this in Vancouver, but it turns out they got some kind of tax break, so that's why it happened. But here, though, it seems they're visiting one of the Joker's old hideouts. It says Booby Trap across it. He loves an old rundown carnival. He's a huge fan, so it's not really a surprise to see one show up here. Another location we get is Ace Chemicals, which has popped up in the DC movies before, even the newer ones. Of course, it's where the Joker was created, but it's also where Harley Quinn was created. Well, depending on the version, but this movie version, that's what birthed her. If you remember Suicide Squad, which you may or may not, we actually see that moment. And maybe her blowing it up. It could very well serve a story point, or it could be like a symbolic thing. Like, you know, she's broken up with the Joker, so Ace Chemicals explosioned. Also, here's something interesting. Harley Quinn has a necklace that says Bruce on it. Does she know who Batman is? It's entirely possible. A lot of people do. It's interesting though, as I mentioned up top, that Batman is gone. I mean, that clears the way for these new characters, obviously, but it's also because Ben Affleck is no longer Batman. He hated that shit. He's gone forever. I like that he popped up for a minor role in Suicide Squad, but I can also understand how he's not really needed here. Though I am curious as, where has he gone? Is he retired? Is he having a champagne breakfast in Italy? It remains to be seen. This universe is very much in flux. And hey, if you are interested in this universe, guess what? Well, this is actually a different universe, but I have a Joker Easter egg video, which is coming out this Sunday. So subscribe if you want to check that out. There's also another video on the new Suicide Squad. And I also have a podcast called The Weekly Planet where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. This Monday, we're talking about the new Joker movie in non-spoiler, then spoiler detail, a big old review. And in last Monday's episode, there's actually a hot scoop relating to who's playing who in that James Gunn Suicide Squad film. It's 100% legit, 100%, and you should definitely check it out. It's linked below. There's also a time code in the podcast if you want to jump to that particular point. Also, I just want to say, I really love the posters of this movie, and they seem to accurately reflect what the movie is. I hate to bring it up again, but Suicide Squad, it seems like the marketing and the trailers and the posters and the logo and such, it felt very much like a last-minute addition. There are some colorful elements and characters in that movie, but a lot of it is kind of dark, boogly-eyed mudmen running down dark, grimy streets, and it felt like a big big misdirect. This, though, it seems intentionally garish and colourful and larger than life. And I hope it ends up being the case. But yeah, what I'm curious about is, what do you think of this trailer? I quite like it. Looks kind of great. I also like that we're getting characters in the movies that we haven't seen before. Or at the very least, we haven't seen a lot of in other movies. You know, Huntress and Black Canary and that. They've showed up in the Arrowverse. But it's also really nice to get these big screen adaptations. Anyways, any thoughts that you have, anything that I've missed, I'd love to hear it. All right, I'm out of here. Have a good time, weekend, and end of the week, rest of the week, whatever you're up to. Good luck. Get out there. Have fun. It's important to have fun. Just enjoy yourself, you know what I mean? Life's short. Yeah. What am I doing? Okay, I'm leaving.